loneliness, uncertainty, or anxiety as you move through towards older age. If any of those kind of questions or ideas are floating around in today's show, I'm going to be sharing 5 particular characteristics that can help you thrive as you move through your third act of life. And along with the 5 characteristics, I'm going to set it in the context of a psychological term called gerotranscendence. But before I do any of that, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Bybreen Samuels, and I help baby boomers reinvent themselves psychologically, practically, and technically so they can thrive in their third act of life. And if you're one of my regulars, it's great to have you back. So there's this psychological term called gerotranscendence. And it was actually coined, the phrase was actually coined by somebody called Lars Tornstrom. And the whole idea is as we are aging, we are moving away from our kind of personal idiosyncrasies and moving towards a world of natural personal development and spiritual development, which means that we are developing a broader perspective as we move through to older age and closer to our death. So this concept of gerotranscendence, which actually is made up of 2 words, gerontology. So the gero comes from gerontology, and gerontology is the study of the process of aging, and transcendence obviously means moving beyond what it means to physically age. Now, there are 5 attributes that are connected to this term that is helping us to broaden our perspective. So we're lessening this sense of isolation and trauma and anxiety as we take on a more graceful approach towards aging. So there are 5 attributes. And the first one is cosmic consciousness. Now, with cosmic consciousness, the idea here is that we're not being dominated by our actual personal ego and the daily tribulations of everyday life. It's more about we are connected, we are interconnected with every living thing. And so, what this helps us to do is to lessen our attachment on those kind of day-to-day frustrations, the things that can occur in our lives and we rise to anger or frustration. The idea with this sense of cosmic consciousness is to recognize we're just a kind of fleck, a kind of dot, a speck in the whole universe, and we are connected to everything that lives on planet Earth and also within all of the galaxies. So, with cosmic consciousness, we are getting better control over who we are and just recognizing we're just literally a kind of dot in the vastness of life. So that helps us to broaden our approach and widen our perspective in terms of who we are. The second one is about transcending space and time. Ordinarily, what we tend to do is think about ourselves from our past self, our present self, and our future self. And so there are these distinctive time frames within life. Now, when you're transcending space and time, the idea is that there's a blurring of these time zones. So therefore, when we are just present to what is actually in front of us, gives us a sense of having more enjoyment in our lives and really appreciating the simple things in life. Because if we're always living in the past, means that we've got too much of an attachment to our history. Who did this? Who did that? Shoulda, woulda, gonna. And just thinking of everything rooted in your past, which actually isn't enabling you to flourish, because as baby boomers, we've lived 6, 7, going on 8 decades. And if we're continued to be stuck in the past, that's not going to enable us to take this broader perspective with life. And then if we're in the present, but we don't really like what's going on in the present, we're always projecting forward into the future. So we're missing the moment. So when we're looking at this transcendence, it's about transcending space and time, and there's a confluence of these different time frames, which allows us to actually be present to what's going on in front of us, which is brilliant. The third one is paradoxical thinking. So we all know about life's vicissitudes, the idiosyncrasies. We know about the complexities of life and the nuances in life, which tells us, and from our own lived experience, that life isn't black or white. It's gray. It's in the nuances. And so we can hold those what appear to be contradictions. With sorrow, the other side of the coin is joy. With light, the other side of the coin is darkness. And it's about holding what appear to be polarities, but appreciating how one impacts the other. And it's our ability as we continue to age, which helps us to lessen the grip that we have on what should have happened, what could have happened, who could have behaved better towards us, or how we could have been better towards other people. It's about holding this paradoxical thinking and moving through life with a lot more ease. The fourth one is about looking at ourselves from the point of view of growth and learning. And so, as we continue to grow and learn, we're thinking about ourselves in terms of, okay, I may have experienced X, Y, and Z, but I still have the capacity to become something new. It's never too late. It's never too late to have a different insight or a different understanding in terms of who you've understood yourself to be up until this particular point. It's never too late to take on a different appreciation or somebody else's point of view. It's never too late to escape what has held you in your clutches or in its clutches for X period of time, for you to grow into something else. And so when we're looking at these attributes, it helps us to, as I say, lessen the clutches and move more in terms of this internal translocation, which is the fifth one. And here, what you're doing as a boomer, as you continue to age, is that you are losing interest in that kind of external validation. Somebody always telling you, you're fantastic, you're great, I really like you. And you having this question about, what do you think of me? Am I good enough? Will you still love me? Now, when you're dealing with this internal translocation, what you're doing is journeying back home to yourself. And in doing so, what you're literally tapping into is your wisdom, the intuition that lives within, and your lived experience that's layered on top of this, that helps you to see life in a completely different way because you're trusting what you have learned, you're trusting in yourself. And what this allows you to do is to give yourself this sense of self-validation. It's not out there, it's all in here, which helps you to relax, which gives you freedom to really own who you are. So they are the 5 attributes that are connected to this idea of this Geron transcendence. And now, when we're looking at the 5 characteristics that can get you beyond the the fear or the kind of depression that can set in when you're thinking about retirement blues, or the noise has all stopped, your world that was so full has now become incredibly quiet. What are the 5 characteristics that have this backdrop of this transcendent life? Well, the first one is creativity. We're all creative. And over the years, the things that we were really attached to, the things that really lit us up, we may have put them on the back burner or shrunk them in terms of prioritizing them in your world. But you're creative. Now is the time, and it's a characteristic that allows you to blossom. So, for example, in my own life, I've got a couple of creative endeavors that I'm working on. One, I'm building a catalog of about 100 songs. Now, I never hear melody. I don't read music. I don't, write music. But what I'm attempting to do, and I've got about 27 to about 30 songs, full song lyrics, and I'm building up to 100. And in the building up to them, It's wonderful because I just dive into this fantastic experience of my own creativity. And, my head is down, I'm writing away, and the hours just pass. And this is what the joy of creativity can bring you. It's the things that you love to do naturally. You've got your own version of that. So I'm building towards my 100 songs. And out of the 100, I'm hoping that there's going to be at least 15 to 20 of them that I just think, yeah, this is, structurally, internally, all of this works as a song. The second one is that I wrote a monologue last year and I had fantastic feedback. And so this year, along with writing and building up this catalog of 100 songs, I'm going to upgrade and improve upon the monologue. Now, they are just two of my creative endeavors. You have your own version. What is it that you want to be doing that's going to light you up in a particular way, whereby it's like, you know what, this is a great characteristic to embed in my life. And by building on these characteristics, you're lessening the grip of fear. The second one is about becoming sociable. Now, if you happen to be somebody who is more introverted as opposed to extroverted, you may be somebody who just think of this phrase, some of us wait and some of us act. As we're moving through our third act and as our world continues to change or transition, and what used to be quite a full world now is becoming a smaller world, then it's on you, it's on us to how do we step into our sociable persona? We all have it. Some of us are more extroverted, but even so, the shine of it might have been worn away for a bit. But the second characteristic is about building your sociable muscle. And don't necessarily wait for other people to invite you. We all have networks in one form or another. Think of your own social networks. Who in your network haven't you been in contact with for some time? Start reaching out, start building those bridges again. Now, if some of them they want to connect, fantastic. Then at least you've got a great basis to start with. And if others choose not to, you wish them well and you keep it moving. But it's the idea is how can you become more sociable? And this is going to improve your mental and emotional well-being. Become more sociable. So, for example, on one of my Facebook groups, there's hundreds of thousands of people in this group, and somebody posted in there yesterday that there's a theatre group. And I thought, great, I've already joined one theatre group, which I thoroughly enjoy. And here's another one. I'm tapping into the things that I really enjoy, and I'm being brought into another social circle. You have your version of that. So the second characteristic to develop is to become more sociable, because as we age, our worlds may become smaller. They may begin to shrink. And what I don't want you to do is to be sitting in this world of loneliness. You don't have to. You just need to exercise that sociable muscle. The third one is how do you build in or integrate exercise or being outdoorsy? This is going to be fantastic for your physical health, your mental health, your emotional well-being, just movement. I love movement. Movement is my first language, as you can tell. I'm, always with my hands. But movement is my first love. And so I've built an exercise movement practice for about 5.5 decades, 55 years. And it's done me the world of good. And as we age, and over the last at least the 2 decades, we are living a far more sedentary life. We're living quite an insular life insofar as, we're either on a screen, a laptop, a desktop, a phone, an iPad. There's some technological advance that's keeping us rooted in our positions. But actually, if you find that's the majority of your life and you're somebody who drives, I don't, then you may find that you've led and you continue to lead quite a sedentary life. And what is that really doing for your life? Not very much. Get out into the open air, be amongst Mother Nature. She's there for us. We need her. Allow her to support you on your journey towards well-being. Be outdoorsy. There's so much that you can do, and it could be gentle sports like walking, for example. I love walking. You know, get out, start, 2,000 steps a day, 3,000 steps a day. They say that one should build up towards 10,000 steps if walking is your thing, or it could be yoga. It doesn't really matter, but it's some form of movement that allows your body for you to recognize and to connect with your body. Our bodies are designed to move. Get out into the fresh air and embrace what Mother Nature has to offer. The fourth one is around lifelong learning. Now, being a lifelong learner is phenomenal. So in my own experience, I love learning. I love reading. I love synthesizing. I love writing. I love sharing. And it has done so much in terms of helping to keep my mind sharp. I'm a very curious person anyway. And, diving into a new world of information that can help to expand my frontier, to keep my mind sharp, for me to ruminate on things, for me to connect the dots, just for the sheer pleasure of learning something new or relearning. So in my own life, it's a good few years ago now, during the late 2000s, I was in China. I was awarded a research scholarship, and I went there, had an amazing time. And one of the things that allowed me to have an amazing time was that I learnt Mandarin. Not the best Mandarin, but, I could get by. And even with all the faux pas that I made, but I really enjoyed the journey. And more recently, I've come back to the idea of relearning Mandarin, but in a very light touch way. So I'm not learning it because I need to be in China or another Mandarin speaking environment, but it is about I'm keeping true to who I naturally am. It's a subject, a language that I really enjoyed learning. And there's something about me that's quite a subterranean. The subjects that I learn or that I gravitate towards are subterranean, meaning that on the surface, you can't quite work out what's going on. And trust me, when you begin to learn Mandarin, you really don't know what's going on, because when you look at the characters, they don't make any sense. So there is something about the way I show up in the world. It's about peeling away and trying to connect the dots, and obviously learning a system. Like when I retrained as a software engineer, never written a line of code before. Again, it's about putting pieces of the jigsaw together. Same with astrology. Now, you will have your own version of this, but what kind of piques your interest? What grabs your attention? What do you think? Oh, I'd love to dive into that. You've got the time now, build in time, and it can start, in a really kind of tiny way, and that can build out. But keeping your mind active, keeping your mind flexible and fluid, keeping you interested and connected with the wider world. So lifelong learning is the fourth characteristic. And the fifth one, excuse me, is about embracing change. And that is central to this whole idea of the transcendent life, the gero transcendence, beyond the physical body, beyond the aging process. You are still in here, in your body. What's really going to hold your attention? Being willing to change, embracing change in a way whereby you're thinking about, okay, I've understood myself to be this type of person, but it's never too late to become somebody else or have a wider appreciation of who you are. So embrace change, because by embracing change, it's going to give you so much freedom, because you're able to take more of a hands-off view of your character and personality to date. It allows relaxation, it allows flexibility, and it allows you to ruminate. It's like, okay, I can change. I'm making a conscious effort to change. So the 5 character traits that can help guide you, lead you, transition you from the kind of pre-retirement, on the cusp of retirement, through to your retirement years, whereby you're aiming to reduce the sense of the retirement blues. You're aiming to reduce anxiety and fear about what the future can hold, because you are still in here. Society may have written you off in one form or another, but that's society's perspective. The most important one is your own perspective, and anchoring yourself in these characteristics will only help you to blossom. So that's what I wanted to share with you, this idea. Excuse me. Let me just take a sip here. This idea of gerotranscendence, looking at the world of gerontology as we begin to age, as our body changes. You know, sometimes there's a weakness that may come in the body, but you're still in there. And how can you continue to embrace life, let go of the idiosyncrasies, you know, life's vicissitudes that get in your way, or you get in your own way, and allow you to take this natural shift, this natural turn of events that allows you to grow personally, but also spiritually, so that you're able to have an interconnected, a surround sound approach to your life and the world around you. So I'd love to hear, what's your relationship with new characteristics that can help you grow through your boomer years, that grow through the third act? Who could you become? Who do you want to become? That still enables you to thrive. And, you know, retirement can take on so many different guises. You might have more of a fusion life, which is one I certainly do embrace, where there's an element of work, but there certainly is an element of who I am and all the things that interest me, that allows me to live with joy and ease and fluidity and acceptance. There's an ease. There isn't a disconnect. I'm not struggling to become something else. It's about being and enjoying exactly who I am. And I'd love to hear your experiences of the aging process, and how do you intend to integrate this idea of gerotranscendence? How could you become more creative? What creative endeavors have you got on the back burner that you want to bring to the forefront? What action could you take today that leads you into the world of being more sociable, connected to other people? There's nothing wrong with that. I live a dual life in a sense. I'm very at ease in my own skin, so I enjoy my own company, and I also enjoy the company of other people. So I can be with them, around them, amongst them, and it all just feels very natural. What about exercise? What could you do to begin to improve your physicality by moving your body? That increases your well-being. What could you do? What subject? What interests you that you think, I could dive into that? I'd love to learn another language. Or, you know what, I do have an eye for fashion design or photography or whatever it is. You're alive. And while you're alive, what is it that can help to fuel your internal world, that gives you a sense of, oh, that feels so good? And it's got nothing to do with anybody else, but it has everything to do to help anchor your internal world. And then how are you going to embrace change? Where are you now? Where could you be? And then who do you need to become in order to take on that new identity, in terms of writing a new narrative that really does embrace change? So I'd love to hear what you have to share. Put your comments in the comment box below. And if you have any other ideas around what it is that you would love me to share with you here, because as you know, I'm developing a magazine style channel focused on baby boomers to help them reinvent themselves psychologically, practically, and technically, so they continue to thrive. And I can see, I'm just trying to find my glasses, just a moment. there are some lovely comments coming up here. So let's see who we've got here. We have Misha. Maria, greetings. From where are you from? Greetings and goodness. Thank you so much. Let me just pop that up there. I find myself at 45 soon. I'm not working to be around and not wanting to be around in the world. Oh, I use, hold on, I can't quite see what that's saying there. I love dancing for movement. I love that. Oh, I love dancing. So I stopped reading newspapers and stopped watching TV in 2007, actually, when I got back from China. And I love dance and I love movement. So I'm with you there. But one of the things that helped me on my journey to this sense of integration, and there were several things, but one of the things was beginning to sift out what was relevant and what was irrelevant in my world. Now, I don't feel disconnected from the world. The fact that I don't, beaver away and read a newspaper every day and take on exactly what's going on in the world. It was more important for me to hear my inner rhythm and to dance to my inner rhythm and also to dance. So every day I listen to Jazz FM and I shake my thing. So yeah, I'm with you in terms of movement. That's lovely. I love dancing as well. And hold on, what have we got here? Greetings. Lovely. Thank you. And there's another one here. Thank you for your comments. I really do appreciate them. And great to know that you're here as well. I really, really appreciate them. So that brings me to the end of today's show. As I said, please leave your comments in the comment box below. Like, share, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you know when I go live or post any other video. And please share this with other baby boomers who you feel could benefit from what goes on here every Sunday live at 3:30. Stay well, have a fantastic week, and I will see you again next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.